Pittsburgh Steelers have another tough AFC North road matchup here in the state of Ohio as they face the Cincinnati Bengals in Week 13. My name's Tyler, here with my brother Ryan, and we're going to break down this Week 13 Pittsburgh Steelers versus Cincinnati Bengals matchup, provide our predictions at the end of the video. But before we get into that, we're trying to get to 6,000 subscribers by the end of the year, so any help is greatly appreciated. So hit that subscribe button, leave a like and a comment. Let us know who you think will win this game and why. So Ryan, Pittsburgh Steelers coming off a mini bye. Cincinnati Bengals coming off a full bye in Week 12. Steelers, I love those types. Like that, I feel like that was a quintessential AFC North game. I love I saw a tweet where it was like these photos were taken 10 minutes apart and like the green grass of Cleveland Browns Stadium. And then just 10 minutes later, a white snow. And it was such a fun game. Adds another layer of just strategy and difficulty, for professional athletes. And so Steelers fell just short. And despite the snow, this Browns defense has been improving and been getting healthier as well. It's still super tough, I think, to go up against. And I think it was still just maybe a tough matchup for the Steelers going into it. They just had a couple plays not go their way. I think all things considered, I think they played still decently well. And James Winston in that offense was just able to capitalize. Going up against the Cincinnati Bengals team who, for the life of them, cannot win a game. They've given themselves every opportunity, except for one, the Philadelphia Eagles game, to win the game, and they just cannot win these games. So coming off a bye, what do you think the Bengals need to do to finally just win a game and keep their playoff hopes alive?
You kind of said it there, like right there. They need to finish. They need to find ways to close out these games. Like even going back all the way to Week 1, they didn't have a great offensive game. They came in unprepared, and New England hit them in the mouth, and they didn't know quite what to do. They still had the ball with 3 minutes left, down 6, to go down and score a touchdown. And New England kind of closed that drive out pretty quick, deep in the Bengal territory. But like, still, you had the ball, a chance to go win, and you didn't do it. I go to the next week to the Chiefs game. I think it was a questionable pass interference call. I've been told that I'm wrong on that in that game as well. But still, like, if that guy is a half second later, that's a clean pass breakup, and there's really no question about it. I still think he was
like a half a millisecond.
Yeah, and he's trying to make a play on the ball anyways, which don't get me started on that. But like, then you go fast forward to week 11, and Evan McPherson, I think, did he miss 2 field goals to potentially go up 3 in that?
The Chargers,
to go up against go up 3 against the Chargers, and you just couldn't make them. And they weren't. I think they were both 45 plus.
But in today's NFL, though,
you got to be able to make those, and especially you get 2 cracks at it. I think you definitely got to be able to make at least one. Yeah. And then defense, you knew once he missed that second one, Chargers went right down and put themselves in position to win. So it's very frustrating for the Bengals. I think you can see the frustration being built up in that locker room, especially guys coming into the season like Jamar Chase, like T. Higgins, already having contract issues with the front office, for then this level of frustration to be happening out on the field. It's a really rough time for the Cincinnati Bengals organization. And I think right now the most important thing that they can go out and do is go out and finish this game. Joe Burrow is having an MVP caliber season. He's having one of the best season. He's having the best season of his career. It's just this defense isn't quite up to snuff. They're allowing a lot of points, and it's just going to be a tough, hard-fought game, I think, for this offense, where they're going to have to go out and try to put points on the board every single possession. And if they can't score every single possession, I think this is going to be a really tough game for them.
Oh, the Bengals, they can't score every possession?
If with how this defense has been playing, if the Bengals can't go out and put up 30 plus, this is going to be a really tough game for them. They don't have to score. They don't have to score every possession.
Okay,
but I was thinking a little.
I was like, they got to score every possession. I'm like, oh, well, they're set up to fail. And so, but your point though with this Bengals team is Joe Burrow is leading the league in passing yards, 3,028. Trey Hendrickson is sack leader at 11.5. Jamar Chase is the receiving leader at 1,000.
And I believe he's the receiving touchdowns leader.
Probably so. I don't have that immediate setup in front of me, but probably so. If not, he's right up there with it. And so, but exactly the point. I mean, they're having these kind of caliber seasons, and then they just can't win. It's their defense as a whole. They've one of the worst passing defenses in the league, just giving up so many yards, just in general. If there's a way that they can lose the game, they can lose the game. What's pretty interesting too, and so I know I talk about. Let me make sure I got all these numbers in here. But how great a season Trey Hendrickson is having as well, 11.5 sacks. Unless if I've inputted these numbers wrong, they only have 19 sacks total as a team, and so that puts them 30th as a whole. So yes, he is having a lot of sack production, but then there's nothing else coming from it in the other way. Check me on those stats. Make sure that I've inputted these stats in here correctly. But so it's like Trey Hendrickson or bust, it seems like, on this defensive side of the ball. Offensively, to your point, it's like it seems like they do have to go and just score a touchdown on every single drive to be successful. There's not really too much more I think that this offense can do, but it's a team game. Pittsburgh is going to be kind of that one of those kryptonites. I think for Cincinnati,
you're not wrong on the 19 sacks.
Oh, okay, perfect. And so since Pittsburgh, I think, can be kind of that kryptonite for Cincinnati's because they have a stout defense. They are kind of banged up on that side of the ball as well. I know Joey Porter Jr. has been dealing with some shin contusions and whatnot, and so I think Alex Highsmith was a gentleman that didn't play in last week's game as well. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. But in general, but you still got T.J. Watt. You still have just stud defensive players on that side of the ball. And it's Pittsburgh offense too, just a solid team. George Pickens around the third on the receiving list at 776 receiving yards on the season. You've got guys like Calvin Austin that's done well. You've got Pat Freiermuth as well. You got a good running back room with Najee Harris and Jalen Warren also. Offensive line for Pittsburgh has been banged up throughout the season. I think we saw that a little bit in Cleveland. They struggled just a tad with Myles Garrett in that defensive front. But with all that being said, though, still, they're still able to put up a good fight. And this outside of Trey Hendrickson, as I said, since that defensive line has not been super productive overall. So I think that's just going to be a tough matchup for Cincinnati to exploit. And so it's going to be interesting on what changes they've made defensively. Like they just got to do something. Because even too, like looking at 2025 and beyond as well, you don't want to have to rely on Joe Burrow to be like that. To have an MVP like performance like every season for y'all to be successful. That's great to have, but also too as well. It's like if that's what you're relying on to be successful, that's hard. That's really hard to do. It's like going out and playing golf and trying to break like you need to break your personal best every single time. Like that's just not going to happen. Week in, week out.
Yeah, and that to me, I think it has to be frustrating to be the Bengals right now. And I think on the flip side, I think you look at a team like the Steelers. Okay, the Steelers, Najee Harris, Jalen Warren, that's a good running back duo. Russell Wilson, coming from Denver, he's had a better year this year, I will say. But coming over from Denver, largely looked washed in his career. And it's like, I know I got flack for this earlier in the season, but like outside of TJ Watt, there's good players on this defense, but it's just they have a strong middle class on this team, and like they go out, they all do their jobs well, and they're just a really formidable team for that exactly. And that to me, I think is what's like you go look at the juxtaposition of these two teams, where one is this high flying offense that has all of these flashy playmakers, and the other is this like hardworking kind of in the details, like strong middle class team. And it's like they're the 8-3 team, whereas the high flying team, while this offense is having a great year, they just don't quite have the horses to really finish out some of these games. And so it's just interesting to see the juxtaposition. You also have to throw in coaching in that mix. Mike Tomlin is one of the best coaches, I think, in the NFL, in NFL history, especially when it comes to getting the most out of the talent that's on his team. I think he's a fantastic coach. Where I think Zach Taylor is also a fantastic coach, but you look, Mike Tomlin's a Hall of Fame caliber coach, whereas Zach Taylor is an NFL head coach.
Yeah, We haven't had the time with Zach Taylor yet. I think he's only been the coach there for 5 years or so, but he's made it to Super Bowl, led to a couple of AFC Championship games. So we'll kind of wait and see. But when it comes to predictions on this game, last week I predicted that Mike Tomlin would continue his streak of winning seasons, not having a season with a losing record. And I think that's going to happen this time as well. So I'm just going to keep on sticking with the Pittsburgh Steelers until they finally get that prediction correct. But I think they're just going to be more consistent overall. I think they're going to be able to kind of control the clock. And the Bengals they're going to have explosive plays. Wouldn't be surprised if Jamar Chase has another 100, 150-yard type game and Joe Burrow gets to 300 plus or whatever. But I think Pittsburgh's going to be able to control that clock through multiple different ways, running the ball through the air, as you mentioned, and getting George Pickens, and they're going to have some explosive plays as well. So I'm going to go with Pittsburgh on this matchup.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Pittsburgh as well. I think it's going to be a relatively high-scoring game. I'm going to say 28-27 in favor of Pittsburgh. I feel like Cincinnati's going to have a late lead, and Pittsburgh's going to score a touchdown at the end just to kind of close it out. Really just because I feel like that is how this season has gone for the Cincinnati Bengals. So
it's one of those, yeah. You have like the cardiac kids, and now you have the cardiac arrest kids, and that's the Bengals.
Yeah, exactly. And so that to me is like just the tone of this Cincinnati Bengals season. And so I'm really curious to see kind of what they do in free agency. And also I did look it up. I want to touch on this really quick. So not only does Trey Hendrickson have 11.5 sacks, there's only one other person on the team that has more than 1 sack, and it's Sam Hubbard, who has 2. So it's not even like, oh, it's like Trey Hendrickson has 11.5, Sam Hubbard has 6, and then it's like they just don't have any other pass rushers. Like there's really just nobody else getting pressure on the quarterback at the moment. So it'll be fun. I'm looking forward to this one. I always love the AFC North matchups. But let's go ahead. We are both taking the Pittsburgh Steelers in this one. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. That is the best way to help out the channel. While you're down there, go ahead and leave a comment on who you think is going to come out ahead in this AFC North matchup. Will it be the Cincinnati Bengals? Will it be the Pittsburgh Steelers? And that we'll see you guys next time.